11, Jan Logie.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Social Development and asks, is she concerned that Wellington Rape Crisis is shutting its doors one day a week because of a funding shortfall?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, yes, although I have just been reading a press release that says that they think they're going to get that $55,000 and may not have to shut on that fifth day. But certainly from my perspective, they are a valued and respected service for Wellington.
Jan Logie.
Then why isn't the government providing enough funding so that vital services can be assured for victims?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's really important to say that there hasn't been a reduction in government funding for this organisation, and in fact, well, there hasn't been. I've certainly gone back and looked very, very carefully at the figures in the last couple of hours, and the information I have in front of me is that they have not had a reduction from Child, Youth and Family. What they may have got is a Community Response Fund, which was, as we all know, time limited and came up at the end of last year like it did for everyone, but it's no way that there has been a cut in funding. In fact, there's been an increase in their services from Child, Youth and Family.
Jan Logie.
Mr. Speaker. Given the national increase in demand for sexual violence services, how does the Minister plan to protect organisations from the impact of effective funding cuts by ACC and MSD for adult survivors?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, I think that's a really fair question. So what we've been doing is working with Toa Nest, who have been certainly making representations on behalf of that sector to government. The member, I'm sure, is fully aware of the task force and some of the recommendations from that. What we did instigate last year, which I think is quite important, is for them to have at least more say over their funding and how it's divided, and we put more funding, certainly out of my own budget, into that pool so that they can have more say on how it's distributed. I think ongoing funding and increases is always a challenge, and particularly in these times, but we are certainly open to continued dialogue so that we can work our way through the issues.
Jan Logie.
Mr. Speaker, does the Minister think it appropriate that Rape Crisis is reliant on one-off offers of money from organisations like Hell's Pizza, who's trying to assuage their guilt for giving money away, giving a free pizza for a confession of sexual assault?
Mr. Speaker, I don't feel I have ministerial responsibility for what Hell Pizza may or may not have been doing. What I can say to the member is it's a shame that Rape Crisis Wellington haven't asked to come and see me before I saw the press releases this week, because I would have willingly have seen them and perhaps have tried to work through a way to do this without going through the media.
Jan Logie. Order. I want Val to hear Jan Logie.
Does she believe that the current funding crisis may be due to a lack of leadership, as evidenced by the media being bounced between ministers denying responsibility when they were trying to get comment on funding for Wellington Rape Crisis?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, no. And as I say, I've carefully gone through both phone calls and correspondence in my office in the last few weeks and have seen nothing from Wellington Rape Crisis.
Question number 12, Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.